Ah, yes. Now, how the hell did this video make its way across my desk? Who the hell knows? But we're gonna do what we always do. Make fun of it because it's a gloriously flammable train wreck. I mean, it's Piers Morgan's show, it's never to be taken seriously. But before we get into this, a couple of things I want to address. Namely, there needs to be a distinction made between conservative and traditionalist. That there's a very simple method to at least identify the two. If you take the former and you put them in the early 1900s, they would be a progressive. They would want all of the she nonsense of the day that got us into the dreadful state of stupid that we're stuck in now. Women's equality, women's suffrage, civil rights, the destruction of the right to association. Basically the erosion of anything a sane civilization would never dare to abandon. I mean, these are the kinds of wankers who want progressivism so long as it suits them and no more, being the typical ignorant narcissists that they are. And to those people I say, bitch, that is not how any of this works. You are the material beneficiaries of a spigot which you did not turn on, and so you sure as hell can't turn it off. You can't pause it midstream. Either you take in all of the would-be medicine that is now overdosed into poison, or you can stop being a bitch and avoid it altogether. That's the former. The latter, on the other hand, if you put them in the same time, would still be traditionalists. One is time-coded, the other one is timeless. One is a product of tradition, the other one is a product of politics. You'll see why I say all of this in the video. The other one is about the only sane gentleman that makes a clip like this bearable, Andrew Wilson. Now, I understand Andrew operates on the any publicity is good publicity model, and therefore he has to roll in the blood and mud with all the other pigs to get his name out more often. Yeah, it's the day I tried to live. I may be slightly biased here. Andrew's a friend of mine after all, and as such, I've had the honor of being able to pick his brain for far more intellectually stimulating conversations than just watching him, let's be honest, swiftly knock about a bunch of nitwitted peasants. This is essentially like watching a professor school a bunch of drunken toddlers. I'm not the best judge here, seeing as my worldview is about, well, at least 150 years young, but nothing that Andrew says is in any way shocking. At least in terms of the substance, anyway. Where and when he voices it, however, frightens the hell out of, in essence, isolated tribesfolk high as balls on an ideology that makes no friggin' sense at all, and communicating the realities of sobriety scares those who are in constant state of bliss on cloud 9 off their tits. It's the basics of all old-world civilizations prior to the 1900s. We're just watching a bunch of useless idiots who can't articulate as to the cause of modernity's problems, or the solutions, or frankly much of fucking anything. They're just a bunch of mindless drones who think because there's a screen or numerical representation of something somewhere listening to them that their words have value. And the reality is they don't. I do wish Andrew would do more conversations rather than the debate mode juggernaut frame he's usually in. When he isn't in that zone, there's much more depth to his thought process than what we're usually presented with. But anyway, on to the clip.
All right, I want to bring Tomi in, because Tomi, you've got a very interesting perspective, I think.
No one has ever said that about her, Piers. What on earth is the point of you buttering her ass now?
You've talked about something different. You call it the pussification of men, which is a great phrase. I'd love you to
explain why you stole a phrase used by George Carlin in 2005.
Just explain what you mean by that. But also, you're not a fan of Andrew Tate or the influence he has. So that makes you, I think, an interesting commentator in this area. So just explain, first of all, the pussification of men.
Oh, please give me a break. The only reason she doesn't like Andrew Tate is because he's competition for eyeballs. They're both in the same sphere, let's not kid ourselves. Will she provide any substantive explanation as to why? No, of course not. By the way, I haven't seen any of this part. I'm just going off pattern recognition here.
All right, Piers, well, I think, and I can't see you all, so forgive me if I'm incorrect here, but I think I'm the only female on this panel.
Correct.
So I'm really anxious to weigh in. Okay, so I think over the last probably 10 years, there has been what I call the pussification of men. It was everything should be about your emotions and your feelings, and men were emasculated, and this whole concept of toxic masculinity warped the minds of a lot of young men. And they felt masculine, they wanted to be masculine, but society was telling them they should be softer, that it was being toxically masculine if you wanted to play sports and chop wood and go to war. And so men were so emasculated and so beat down that then there was this revolution of what was actually toxic masculinity, the Tate brothers and others, which I feel as a female that doesn't represent true masculinity. That to me represents douchebaggery.
Okay, two things. One, as a woman, you're talking about masculinity, toots. What the hell is the point of preceding your statement by declaring your ovarian possession? Your genitals do not extol upon you some advantageous expertise over here. Secondly, douchebag? Am I the only one who cringes when I hear that word? It's just a PC version of a certain 6-letter F word. Think of any time you would use the former and tell me the latter wouldn't make the sentence sound better.
And as a woman, I want a strong man who is a protector and a provider that will go to war if need be, that will protect me, protect my family, make money. I see that as being actually masculine. That's like the man that I grew up with, my dad. But what we're seeing now is these young men who look at Andrew Tate and the Tate brothers, and they see somebody who's just quite frankly a douchebag and disrespects women. And because they've been so emasculated, they're like, oh, great, that's a manly man. But that's not right either. So at some point, I think we'll go back to maybe meeting in the middle here. You can be a man who has feelings and emotions, but you can also go to war and protect and defend your family. I'm hoping we can get back there. But the two extremes right now, they're confusing men, and quite frankly, they're leaving women with few choices. And that's the real tragedy here.
That's the real tragedy here? Oh yeah, we have a crisis of masculinity, but women are most affected. What an insufferable fuck off. This is why I gave Piers a kicking for that introduction, because nothing she just said is in any way interesting. It's just basic bitch trend observation. No commentary as to the state of the world, how vacuums work, or why any of this happened. Just that it did.
My fucking god, I'm getting enlightened by the day, aren't I?
Precisely. Thank you, V.
You see, I completely agree with you, but Andrew, you were shaking your head quite vigorously. Why?
Thank God, finally a voice of reason enters.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just more feminine or feminist nonsense, ultimately. And the covert feminism in society is big, especially on the conservative side. So here's what happens, right? Women need to have feminine virtues for men to be pursuing masculine virtues, for you to say things like, well, men, what I want is for men to protect me and I want men to make money. Well, that's great.
Okay, serious question. Why can't she look normal? Stop smiling so cartoonishly. You look like a psychopath. She reminds me of when Hillary was debating Trump and she would smile in this really creepy manner when Trump was body slamming her. I imagine whoever was coaching her to look composed really fucked that up because she didn't look composed, she looked insane. Same applies here. You all damn well know that smile is desperately masking oceanic quantities of cobency.
What that ends up doing is it gives you a set of privilege in society. What do men get? What do men get for doing that for you? What are we getting from women for doing that? Are we getting chaste virgins on our wedding night? No, we're not getting chaste virgins on our wedding night. Are we getting women of great virtue? No, we're not getting women of great virtue. The idea of courtly love is supposed to be done for women of great virtue. Where are they? Well, they're nowhere. And so in modernity, in society, when female conservative influencers say this, it's actually a form of covert feminism. They're saying, I want privilege in society, right? But what is it women are giving to men to get it? What? What are they giving them?
That's a pretty good question, actually. Very lean and concise. I look forward to how she fumbles and fails to answer it.
Tell me.
Well,
Can I please chime in here?
Yes, you can. And then James can, and I'll come to you, Sean.
No, I would love to. I love this whole thing of like, if you're a female conservative and you don't believe...
Andrew isn't even setting out to debate her, but he's already won. Notice the attitude, the hostility, the defensiveness, and she is not in any way setting out to address anything Andrew just asked, which was simply, if you expect masculine men, what is the reciprocal behavior required by women in order to initiate and maintain said masculine men? It's actually a very easy question to answer, by the way, but watching her continuously dig her own grave is far funnier.
That men should be douchebags, that all of a sudden you're a covert feminist. Call me a feminist. I really don't give one crap one way or another, but I can tell you this. A lot of these men, these podcast hosts on the right that like to think of themselves as these big masculine men, and what am I getting out of it? I can tell you this.
There's that feminism.
All right, I believe I'm a woman of virtue,
coming
right?
out.
Yeah, there's the feminism. Oh, and then you're interrupting me too,
Didn't
which
take
is great.
long,
I let
did it?
you
Didn't
talk.
take
It's my
long,
turn.
did it?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to speak over me?
Yeah, I don't care if you call me. I don't really care if you call me a
strong,
feminist.
independent woman.
Yeah. You're actually interrupting me. I didn't interrupt you when you were spewing your bullshit. So now it's my turn.
You know, normally I would not favor the interruption, but Andrew's done this dance 1,000 times. He knows she's got nothing. It's such a politician's answer as well, meandering ass and then trying to score brownie points with the constituents. In this case, appearing as the cliched, strong, independent woman who can hold her own against the misogynistic man, which is hilarious because she's the one who chose to engage him and with no ammo whatsoever. Hell, she doesn't even have a weapon. Hell, she doesn't even know what the rules of the damn game is, for heaven's sakes.
Okay.
You mean the truth?
Like I said before, so I believe there we go again. Piers.
Oh, fuck! Oh, God, I love Andrew.
I'm a woman of virtue. I happen to be independently successful.
Oh, my good Lord. Barely out of the gate and we're already completely off the rails. The question was, what are the duties of women towards men? It is a question about the collective. What the fuck is wrong with you? This twit is running her mouth talking about herself, her independence, her success, which again has nothing to do with the question. Andrew just framed it in a way which happened to implicate you as a failure of that collective, which you are, which is why you took it personally, getting so uppity and defensive. The moment you extol your own independent success when the subject is about the duty of half the collective is the moment you indicate this is out of your wheelhouse and you have nothing further to add to the conversation. There's the door. See yourself the hell out.
I have a husband who's not only a former professional athlete, but is currently a professional baseball coach. So is he not a masculine man? I mean, I'm confused here.
Really? You don't say. It's not the wisest thing to admit whilst also showing it, love. Especially considering you chose to engage him in this hostile manner whilst also showing you have no idea what the conversation is even about. Why the hell did you choose to? Oh, I know why. It's because he bruised your fragile ego.
What's your concept of a masculine man? Mine is a man who respects me.
Again, it's a really stupid idea to engage, claim you're confused, and then try and pivot because the topic appears to have eluded you. Perhaps stay in your lane. You know, the one that doesn't require a Y chromosome.
Yeah, that misses the point, though. Like, you're still not contending with the argument that I'm
what's
making.
your point?
I'm saying inside of society, right this second, right, masculinity is not only punished, but also women on the right, covert feminists on the right, are constantly and consistently talking about how they need to have privilege in society. I want men. Their version of masculinity is men who take care of us, men who protect us, men who do all of this. Those are all duties that men have towards women. Great. What are the duties that women have towards men? What are the duties that women have towards anything? What do men get out of this arrangement? What are we getting out of this arrangement? Can you tell me?
I'll elaborate on this answer in a bit. It's to produce offspring, you dozy pretzel.
I mean,
I would argue that men innately should be protectors and providers.
Hang on one second. Let Tomi respond.
Most men are born that way.
Oh, really? Born that way? So it's a biological feature, is it? Do tell, what is the corresponding biological function of women, then? This should be an easy question for you, seeing as you fucking are one. And continuing the theme here, she still doesn't understand the question. Which should have been obvious. Andrew's reiteration didn't exactly add much, nor did he need to. Elaboration was not necessary. It's fairly cut and dry stuff we have here.
Respond to that, and then I'll come to you, Jez. And then Sean, you've been waiting patiently. So
most men are born to be protectors and providers. I can't imagine my dad saying, you know what, to my mom, you know what, I'm not going to be a protector and a provider unless you do this. That's not how real men operate. Real men are protectors and providers, and they marry women who hopefully have some virtue, but also bring a lot to the table as well, that are great mothers, great wives, caretakers of the home. There's nothing wrong with being a traditional wife and mother.
No one said there is, you waddle. You're arguing with a traditionalist over here. What the? Why are you talking? Why are you even on this panel? This is beyond embarrassing. Andrew, how the hell do you have the patience to sit through these asinine dumpster fires? And he does this live with the Whatever podcast at times, and they're even stupider there. And they go for like 5 hours. How does he sit there across from essentially intellectual roadkill and not vault the table like a lion eyeing a gazelle? Hell, I'm just editing this and I'm white-knuckling in fifth gear rage over here. Said it before, I could never do a show like this. I can poker face like a champion, but this level of stupidity and failure to even stay on topic would show on my face. My locked jaw would say, Spoon's thinking of flamethrowers, isn't he?
You're misunderstanding me if you think that I think that women should just be out doing whatever they want. I think that there are gender roles that should be respected. But I don't think a man needs to get something out of it to be a manly man, a protector, and a provider.
Oh, my word, the thoughts going through my head right now. I can't vocalize them, for I would get banned. I cannot understand his behavior. Literally, I'm dumbstruck. I cannot for the life of me understand how someone gets irritated, tries to go on the offensive, yet also professes to be confused, unable to even understand the topic of conversation. At what point do you register the wisest thing would be to, oh, I don't know, shut the hell up? Normally when people are confused, they ask for elaboration. They don't go on the offensive and halfway through acknowledge they don't even know what's being said. To say this is the conduct of an imbecile is putting it mildly. And again, the question was, what are the duties of women, which you would think she would be able to answer, being the only bloody one on the panel?
If you think you need to get something out of it, I quite frankly don't consider you a real man.
Yes, because men just do these things for no reason whatsoever. It's just biological and innate. And women have no innate female-driven biological behavior at all. No. You know what's rather jarring? Watching this one faceplant repeatedly and then throw that jab as if it has any weight behind it whatsoever. What has she actually said in the space of about 6 minutes here? Men have been emasculated, the Tate brothers are toxic but popular, naturally failing to explain why. Women have no innate behavior, but men do. It demonstrated she didn't understand Andrew's point or his rather simple question that culminated in her insulting him. My word, can you get more cliched? Again, I don't want to just belittle anyone who disagrees with me, but my word, these people really are thick as porridge, aren't they? At this point, I find the often said collective notion that girls are smarter on average to be complete BS. That is a crock of arse. If that's the case, why is every space occupied by them in tatters and utterly unimpressive? Look at government, for heaven's sakes. Men are superior to women. We are more stress resistant, we are bigger than you, stronger than you, faster than you. And if this conversation is anything to go by, sure as hell smarter than you as well. Let me explain Civilization 101 to you, Tommy, seeing as you seem to be utterly clueless here. Because men are superior for all the reasons I just listed above, men are hardwired for protection and resource gathering. It is the reason why, when boys go through puberty, they develop stronger muscles and become more aggressive. Their bodies are being primed for defense and breeding. Given what we've just been subjected to, I imagine lost on you is the reality that girls going through puberty develop the capacity to breed and produce offspring. We call this division of labor, by the way. In any society, there exists a biological-driven dynamic and some form of currency that defines the hierarchy, be this strength, wisdom, wealth, fame, etc., etc. Women desire the men that have this currency in great abundance, and so the men spend their lives gathering this currency because it increases their social capital and thus greater access to the sexual market, with the ultimate goal being to pass on their genes. You know, the thing you need to do or else the species dies. But of course, feminism was the monkey wrench thrown in to undermine this whole dynamic. You delusional wankers were played for suckers by the industrialists, decided you needed equality, which biology will never grant you, by the way, and be on the same level and play in the same arena as the men. To quote G.K. Chesterton, 10,000 women marched through the streets shouting, "We will not be dictated to," and went off and became stenographers. It is mixed up with a muddled idea that women are free when they serve their employers, but slaves when they help their husbands. Feminism went from women are so much more than just their bodies to glorifying the sex trade, claiming it is empowering to objectify oneself. And the underlying reality for this is rather simple. Men are superior to women and thus will damn near always be the top performers in any arena that isn't driven by sex. Outcompeting mainly other men, but because it's men competing against other men, no one cares, it's fair game. However, when women want to enter it and don't succeed, magically it becomes sexism. No, that's just reality. It is unequal because nature is unequal. And then you wonder why men contemplate getting rid of women in the workforce. Geez, I can't imagine why. If you mass market sex and do away with this concept called shame, women are naturally going to flood the place where there is no competing dominating players. Men. There's a very simple explanation for so-called misogyny being on the rise. Don't expect men to respect the opposite sex when they believe the apex of their existence is solely driven by materialism, powered by turning their bodies into mere instruments of transactions. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.